Good evening. I want to welcome everybody to the September 17th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. First, we're going to have our invocation by Ms. Jackie Smith.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for letting us come together once again, allowing us to serve the people of the place that we call our home. Thank you, Father, for the people who have come out tonight, and please let them know that we don't take lightly or for granted the sacrifice of their time to be here, and it's because that they too love Newton County. We thank you that this is the people's house, and everyone is welcome here. We thank you for our Board of Commissioners, our chairman, county manager, county attorney, and our wonderful staff, Lord, that work so faithfully and so diligently to help make Newton County the place she is, a wonderful place to live, a wonderful place to work, and a wonderful place to raise our families. Father, we do not take that for granted, but we thank you for that. We ask that you bless tonight's meeting, Lord, and may every decision made tonight by our board be the right decision. And Father, we just humbly ask that you bless the work of our hands, our hearts, and our minds as we continue to strive to serve others. We don't ever want to forget to thank you, Lord, for always being there, for always loving us, and for hearing and answering prayer. Oh, we love you, Father. We could never thank you enough, but we sure want to try to. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Would everybody please stand? Commissioner Sanders, please lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioners, before we approve the agenda, I got a couple items. I'd like to remove 8A from the consent agenda and make that 9A. Also, for consideration, I want to add item number 12A, and this will be lighting of the courthouse for Christmas, discussion of fireworks. That is all the changes. Do we have a motion to approve that agenda? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Well, sorry, I raised my hand by accident. I sit on too many boards. So please forgive me. At this time, we have citizen comments for agenda topics only. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board about agenda topics only.
Name is Dave Norton, 4357 Highway 142 in Newborn. Right off the bat, on your agenda item up here at the very top, thought for the day. Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does, by William James. I hope everything I've been doing does make a difference. On items, I know that a agenda is a living item before a meeting. Things change daily all the time. Items 11 and 12, I see no explanation on what they are. So if someone's looking up the agenda and they want to come talk, They have no idea what this is till they get here and see a presentation. I would like to see more of a explanation for some of these items so that we can be better prepared before the meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, citizen comments are closed. We're going to move into the chairman's report. As they load up PowerPoint, I want to give an update of my first 2 weeks of sitting in this chair. So first, if you go ahead and go to the next slide. First thing I did after getting appointed here was to start to reach out to our different commissioners. Had a great 2-hour meeting with our District 3 commissioner. We met up, had some coffee, got a chance to learn more about each other and start to build a strong relationship. From there, we had Chester Clegg, and we went out and rode District 3 looking at different projects. As you see on the screen, that's construction underway at Alman interchange right there. So it was a good, very prosperous meeting. I really enjoyed getting to know more about District 3 and the things that they need in District 3. Next slide, please. The following day, we had an opportunity to meet with District 4 and discuss some spliced upgrades to Nelson Heights Community Center. And then just last week, we also got a chance to, me and District 4 Commissioner meet up at the R.L. Cousins facility to look at that splice project and how that will transform that building, to a real gem for our community. Next slide is the State of the Community event. So myself plus county manager and several employees, some department heads, participated in the State of the Community that the Newton Chamber put on. It was a great event, a good opportunity to hear from different mayors, different city managers, and all the good things that they have from their communities. On Saturday, I participated, well, I didn't run, but I was at the Fuzz Run, meeting different citizens, and since I've been in this role, everybody has been calling me, and so I took that time to be out in public and get a chance to engage with the citizens, and enjoyed being out there on Saturday. Also, just last week, we, myself, county manager, Ms. Applewhite, and others from the city attended a seminar on annexation, which gave us valuable insights on how we can navigate the challenges that comes with annexation. Next, department head meetings. Not necessarily a formal meeting, but getting a chance to meet and greet with our department heads and just continue to build a strong relationship. I am very huge on relationships, and I try to foster that as much as I can. Next, it moves us into what I call Restore in 2024. I know Mr. Cooper has his 3 Ps, and I have a little different way of looking at things coming from this seat. I'm coming in this seat with blinders on, and I say that I didn't go out. Initially, I said I was going to go look at and binge watch all of the BOC meetings from the last couple years, and something told me don't do that. I wanted to really sit here in the middle with blinders on and not see some of the things that may or may not happen over the last few years. The disagreements, the disagreeing with citizens, I didn't want to see any of that. I wanted to be up here with a clean slate and be able to build relationships with everybody with no prejudice in my mind at all. So I came up with what I believe is going to be my campaign for the next few weeks. Not political campaign, but just a campaign that I'm going to call Restore. So the first letter of Restore is R, and that is to rebuild trust. We will focus on reestablishing trust between the government and the community by ensuring transparency and accountability in all operations. Next slide. E is to engage the community. We will focus on reestablishing trust between the government and the community by ensuring transparency and accountability in all operations. S, secure stability. Bringing stability back to our county operation is top priority. Employees and the community must feel confident in the leadership and the direction of the county. T, teamwork and unity. We will promote teamwork both within government and across the community. Overcoming past divisions is essential to achieving a shared vision for the future. O, open communication. Keeping lines of communication open between officials, employees, and the public is crucial for fostering trust and collaboration as we move forward. R, renew relationships. We must work on mending the relationships between commissioners, employees, and the community, building a solid foundation of cooperation and respect. Last is E, elevate standards. Our goal is to raise the standards of governance, service, and community engagement, ensuring a more prosperous and accountable future for Newton County. This is my challenge for the next few months, is to restore our community to what it was and make it better. Let's see. I believe that's all I have for the chairman's report. Oh, I'm sorry, I do have one more. I do have a proclamation for National Service Dog Month. Ms. Hamp, can you read that for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The proclamation is for National Service Dog Month 2024. It's the proclamation for September. Whereas we believe in the joyful transformative power of the human canine bond and inclusivity of all citizens, and whereas in the United States, 64 million adults and children have a disability and only 16,000 service dogs from accredited training programs exist nationwide, and the need is growing. And whereas Canine Companions is a nonprofit organization that enhances the lives of people with disabilities by providing expertly trained service dogs and ongoing support to ensure quality partnerships. And whereas Canine Companions and their service dogs empower people with disabilities to lead life with greater independence by providing best-in-class training, ongoing follow-up services, and a deeply committed community of support. And whereas National Service Dog Month aims to educate our community about the benefits of service dogs and the laws protecting them. And whereas Newton County, Georgia continues to work toward becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens and their service dogs are embraced. Now, therefore, in recognition of service dogs and the adults as well as children with disabilities in our community, Newton County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims September to be National Service Dog Month. The Newton County Board of Commissioners encourages all citizens to celebrate service dogs and be respectful of the rights afforded to the adults, children, and veterans who lead more independent lives because of their assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamp. Moving on to item number 6, the county manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, and residents of the community. I come before you today with the county manager's report. People, purpose, and processes. We're going to focus on people. Newton County has 17 departments and over 743 full and part-time employees. This month, we're going to focus on our administrative services workforce, which is comprised of finance, GIS, the tax assessor's office, as well as information services. We're going to also highlight one of the unsung heroes of that workforce. Let's talk first about finance. As you all know, finance is vitally important in public and private sectors, and our finance department puts forth maximum effort daily to make sure that we're good stewards of the finances that this county is ran by. Some of the day-to-day tasks associated with our finance department: fiscal budgeting with various departments, managing our payroll processes, the accounts payable and receivable analysis, capital asset accounting, debt services oversight, and financial analysis and reporting on a regular.
My name is Randy Fincher, and I'm the purchasing coordinator, and I work for Newton County Board of Commissioners. Well, I've been here for a little over 8 years, but my first day was leap day, so technically 2 years. Well, procurement, it promotes transparency. It makes sure that the county gets the best value for tax dollars. It also fosters healthy competition between our vendors, or potential vendors. Those are the most important reasons for.
Ms. Fincher works in our finance department, and as she stated, she's been with us 8 years, and she's definitely thoroughly immersed in the cause of making sure that we're fiscally responsible and that we follow all processes associated with procurement. She is our unsung hero in the administrative workforce for this month. GIS, technically known as Geographical Information Systems Department, is a boutique outfit of 3 that does big and bold things. This department supports various departments in terms of their analysis of spatial data. They support departments as well as other municipalities and private entities in relationship to our mapping processes. Currently, one of their big ticket projects is the Next Gen 911 project, and this is a project geared to promote efficiency when it comes to public safety initiatives, not only in fire services, but also with E911, as well as the Newton Sheriff's Office. In reference to some of their daily tasks, they perform 21 reviews of development plats and 11 reviews of public projects. As of 2024, this staff has added 282 preliminary and 59 finalized address points, as well as 99 preliminary and 16 finalized road segments. Information services, also known as IT, is another one of our departments that are trying to streamline our processes. They've come up with a ticketing system that came to fruition in April of 2024 that enables employees to actively communicate directly with IS staff to quickly address technology issues. Over 1,200 tickets have been addressed using this system. With the support of the board and the county, file storage has been increased for this department, and new cameras and access control will be online soon when deemed appropriate. Our tax assessor's office, this is sort of a shared governance hybrid department, if you will, because it ultimately reports to the Board of Assessors. We do have some level of shared governance, as I stated. The appraisal staff is often in the field measuring new construction and addition permits while also revaluing existing properties. The appraiser staff is also preparing cases to be heard by the Board of Equalization. The 2024 Tax Digest was submitted to the Tax Commissioner prior to the June 1st deadline, with all staff working together in unity and solidarity and in collaboration. Over 2,400 appeals were processed, and over 1,900 cases were prepared for the Board of Equalization. Day-to-day tasks associated with the Tax Assessor's Office includes mobile home visits in terms of decal stickers updates, processing deeds, receiving and processing homestead exempt applications, and finalizing conservation use as well as forest land protection applications. In order to deliver optimum service, staff is also on hand to answer phones and answer questions the general public may have. This concludes my county manager's report.
Thank you, sir. District 4?
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think it was the last meeting, but it was a meeting before last that we had talked about PFAS, forever chemicals. And I think, if my memory serves me right, we were supposed to give a update maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks or every so often about the levels of it that's in our water supply. And so I wonder when might we start getting that report.
I provided you a written report during the last board meeting. It was in your packet.
Yes, sir. But what I was asking for the last time that we talked about it in public, that it be also read out in public. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because I think it's very important to the citizens of Newton County. Because I've been told, so well, it's just going to go away. And it's just in the city. And we just want to know when it goes away. And when it's no longer, there's not a trace in our water system. At least that's what my constituents have been saying. And they asked me to relay to the board that transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's move on to item 9A, which is Public Works requests that the BOC authorize the chairman. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the consent agenda. I'm sorry. 8A. 8, sorry. Consent agenda. Need a motion to approve? Got a second? Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Now item 9A, which is the original 8A from consent agenda. We only have 5 minutes before our public hearing. County Manager, you want to take this one?
Chester Clegg is coming
now?
up
Okay.
to
Thank you.
present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have received a request. We put out a request for qualifications and received qualifications from 4 different firms to design the multi-use trail on Fairview Road. And the 4 firms were Thomas & Hutton, Keckenwood, BM&K, and Stantec Consulting. And the selection committee followed all the GDOT required processes to select a consultant, and we have negotiated a price after the selection for negotiation, and the total will be $374,000 to for the engineering services for to design the trail. The trail goes from Ginn Motors all the way over to the Rockdale County line.
Ms. Sanders?
Thank you so much, Chester, for that information. I know we received an $800,000 grant from Congressman Johnson, and the $374 is just for design and engineer, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so what is going to be the total cost of the project?
We don't have a total, I don't have an estimate on the cost at this time, but I'll go back and get some more funds to cover it. So we're paying 20% our match, and then the federal funds 80%.
8%.
And so we'll have to go back and get some more funds. I'm sure there's a little over 400,000 left, so it probably won't be enough to cover the construction.
Right. And so did they give us a timeline of when they'll get back with us with the design so that work can begin?
Well, we're the sub-recipient because GDOT is administering the funds, so they'll give me a detailed, they call it a P6 schedule in the next couple of weeks once we approve the contract and issue the notice to proceed. So I should have that shortly.
That's all my questions, Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? District 5?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chester, I just want to make sure this is just for this one project only, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Do we have a motion?
I approve I move to approve the contract for Thomas, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Oh, here we go. Thomas and Hutton Engineering Company to provide engineering services for Fairview Road multi-use trail.
Got a motion, do we have a second? Second. Got a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. It is 7:29. And so we're gonna move into our public hearing part of the meeting. Ms. Applewhite?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Board of Commissioners. We don't have any zoning cases this evening, but we do have a few important resolutions and amendments to consider. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is our impact fee ordinance. It is an amendment, a text amendment to the current ordinance that we have, AMD 24-002, and it's an ordinance 009-1724 to amend the development impact fee ordinance and the fee schedule. And it's a consideration of the amendments for the impact fee ordinance as codified in Chapter 34 of the County Code of Ordinances. And just the main highlights of this, and this is similar to what we went over last Tuesday, but it's the major updates we looked at. Again, we're updating the language, adding new sections, and moving some sections around. And staff would like to request that this fee, if it's approved tonight, that it becomes effective November 1st. And that will give us enough time to get all our software updates in place and have staff trained on how to use it. In your packets, you should have this red line account as shown above, as well as the clean version, which is going to be presented for adoption tonight. And I won't read through all of this. However, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So we made an adjustment to Section 34-34, which covers fee assessment and payments. We also looked at exemptions and completed some updates there. We also covered refunds and made some updates and added some language that was necessary. And of course, we did a periodic review and amendments section as well. And of course, the impact fee annual program review. So these are just to highlight the areas that we looked at. And then we also looked at Appendix A, which is the impact fee schedule update. So the current impact fee was last updated in 2018, and we were currently only receiving impact fees for the residential only. We removed all the commercial zonings back then. And currently we're receiving $62 dollars for every single family home that we process, every single family building permit that we process. So our staff is requesting that this be increased. This was prepared, of course you've met Mr. Ross, and he has prepared this chart for us. It shows what 100% would be right around just about $8,000 if we were to charge 100% of the impact fees as allowed by the state. And that would be like for single family homes. Then he's got the breakdown, for the various categories, apartments and so on, as well as the commercial categories. So the column in yellow are the totals. And each of these columns before are the departments that would receive and how much they would receive. So this is just an example as if we were to charge the full 100%, it'll go from the 1762 to the 8,000 plus. This is just a continuation of that chart. This is a comparison chart for neighboring and close by counties. And again, for single family homes, they have what they're charging and the various percentages, and then what it would look like for us if we did it, the row above here. So we have examples for single family homes. We have it for apartments, a supermarket, office buildings, and these are just examples just to give you an idea of what it would look like for Newton County if we were to do the various percentages. So if we were to just increase it by 20%, it won't actually be an increase. It will be at 1746, so that would actually be less than what we're charging now. So that definitely would not be an option. But the 40%, it's about 3,400 for the single family, for example. The apartments will go up to 1387, et cetera, et cetera. If we did 51%, that would put our single family homes right at 4,400, so it would be moving from 1762 to 4,400 almost for single family homes if we were to do an increase at 51%. If we did it at 60%, it'll show the 5,200 approximately that it will go up to from the 1762, and that's just for the single family homes. And it shows examples of what the rates would be for the other categories: apartments, warehousing, and office, and the totals are in the yellow column. And of course, if we did 100%, it would be 8,700 approximately. So staff recommendation would be anywhere between the 40 and the 50 percentile range to increase our impact fees too. This is up for consideration for adoption tonight. And staff would ask if the board is prepared to make a determination on what percentage they would like to raise the impact fee. So just keep in mind that we are, this is the other category. So the impact fees, as we're going to the next section, we have added departments. We've added the sheriff's office, we've added fire services, as well as animal services as part of the departments that will now receive these impact fees for their projects. So we're taking that into consideration as well when we're regarding or looking at the impact fee increase. And I think before we go on to the next section, we would need a vote on this portion here. So this is to the amendment to the impact fee ordinance to also include an amendment to the impact fee schedule. So this is what is before the board currently.
Thank you. Can you go back to the comparison slide?
Sure.
Any questions from the board? District 4?
Thank you. I think last time we spoke, I think it was a call meeting, we spoke about impact fees, and you was talking, and the question I asked is, how much impact fee money do we have, I guess I guess in our general fund or wherever it's at, how much impact fee money do we have?
And while she's pulling that, at that meeting, we discussed, did an applicant pay both city and county? They only pay, if they're in the city, they only pay city. If they're in the county, they only pay county.
Okay.
According to the report that was prepared by Finance, we have just about $4 million. And that's according to the last update that we did that was approved earlier this year.
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Applewhite. So how much have we spent, I guess, of that $4 million in the county, I guess in some district or any district? Can we use some of that money?
That would be determined by the board during the budget process, where the board will determine where the funds would be allocated.
So I guess I asked a question to the county manager. Is I guess the $4 million in the budget, where we spent some of that money, or maybe we had a little more, where have some of that money been spent, or possibly going to be spent?
The funding will be allocated to the capital improvement elements, and as Ms. Applewhite stated earlier, the different services that we have outlined on this particular slide. So if you're asking about money allocated to specific districts, that's not how it's allocated.
Excuse me, Chairman, just one last question, I'm gonna
Yes,
shut up. I always thought the impact fees money was spent like in the districts that kind of most needed the services. It's also my understanding that our fire department is needing a lot of equipment equipment and stuff, and so I was just trying to figure out the money that we already have in the bank, you know, where might that be spent at, you know? Well, okay.
District 3.
Just to expound on that a little bit, I would definitely, and I kind of was conversing with Chairman Sims in regards to how our impact fees are spent. And we get these questions from residents. So a lot of times these questions don't come from us. They come from residents who ask us where the money is going. And so they see certain things that are not fixed. Like I was just in Fairview Community Park yesterday working out at the workout center and talking to some of the constituents, and those lights been broken for 2 years. So they're wondering, where is the money going and why is it not going back into those communities that we're constantly building and oversaturating them with houses, and the money is not going back to those communities to fix the problems. So I kind of concur what Commissioner Henderson's saying, or just expound on what he's saying. We don't see those funds going back into those communities.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners? District 5?
Shana, help me understand this. The developer pays the impact fees, is that correct?
Yes, at the time when they submit for their building permits.
Okay. The homeowner pays an impact fee, is that correct?
No, it's just the one time, we collect the fees just one time at the time the permit is submitted.
Okay, so it's just the developer that pays this, not the person that's
Yes,
building the
upfront,
house?
yes.
Okay.
Let me clarify that. The builder pays the impact fee when he gets the building permit. 99.988% of the time, he passes that impact fee on to the home buyer as part of the purchase price. It may be by raising the price of the house, most likely. Most of the time, it's on the back of the second page of the closing statement down there at the bottom, but there's extra things like the cost of the building permit, $500 to send a FedEx across town, all kinds of things. That's where they usually put the impact fee. So quite often, the first time that a home buyer ever even sees that impact fee is when it's closing time. But that's the way the industry works. I mean, I'm not faulting them in any way, but they do pass it on to the home buyer one way or another.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that. I guess my heartburn is the impact fee is absorbed by the homeowner at some point, and then we're going to charge them taxes to stay there. And the developer, he pays it one time, he's out of here, right? Does that give y'all heartburn? It gives me heartburn. Of course, I don't think like everybody else does either. But I just wanted to make sure I understood that. I don't like it.
So, me and District 5 was talking earlier. So even if random person goes and buys 2 acres and builds their own house, they still pay this impact fee, correct?
Yes, it's attached to every building permit, new building permits.
Okay, I got one last question, I guess. Staff recommended 40 to 50%. Is there a number, a true number that staff really recommends that we can get on board with?
So at 40%, it will go up to just approximately $3,400. I think that would be a good place to start. This is something that can always be adjusted later on in the year as needed.
Any other, District 1?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I may have missed this. If we vote on a fee schedule tonight, does that fee schedule have to stay in place for any minimum amount of time before we could maybe we made a mistake and revisit that schedule? I'm sure that's not recommended, but if we wanted to revisit that, is there a minimum amount of time that would have to be that schedule would have to be put in, stay in place before we could change it?
No, it's just a matter of bringing it back before the board for amended vote on that.
I think, unforeseen, we have quite a bit of experience speaking to us here, but unforeseen circumstances or unforeseen impacts, negative or positive, we may want to revisit the schedule at some point. But it was just a question because I needed to understand that before we start voting before I started voting on a schedule anyway. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else from the board? At this time, we'll move into the public hearing portion of our meeting. Those in favor of the petition are allowed 10 minutes to address the board. In addition, 10 minutes are allotted for those in opposition to the petition. This 10-minute allotment does not include a response to any questions raised by the commissioners. Does anybody want to speak in favor? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Maya Allen, District 3. I'm a little confused. I am for the increase. I'm just not certain that you can determine what percentage based on the information that we've been presented with. Commissioner Sanders brought up a neighboring county. It's not any of these numbers. So I'm just not clear on how that logically can be made at this point. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak in favor?
Leanne Long, 2020 River Cove Road. Impact fees are very common. We see them in every county. I am in the real estate industry, and we do see these, and it's something that definitely helps counties that are having growth with the situations going on with our roads, our improvement, our infrastructure. I don't think these are out of line at all, the 40%, if you want to start there. I think we're way too low at this point, and we need to adjust this. And, it's going to a house. It's just like any other cost that goes into a house. We don't get a separate number saying, oh, these are your impact fees. We're passing this along to you at a closing. It's just like the lumber gets into the price. The impact fee's in the price. The permit is in the price. There's no such thing as affordable housing right now anyway, but that has nothing to do to an impact fee. An impact fee is something we have to grow our county, pay for all these services that everybody wants. We have to have impact fees to do that. That's a way to generate dollars instead of putting it on every taxpayer's back.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak in favor? Last call, in favor. That portion of the meeting is closed. Anybody want to speak in opposition? That portion of the meeting is closed. Does the board have any further questions for Ms. Applewhite? At this time, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
This time I'd like to make a motion that we adopt an impact fee that is 40% of the maximum allowable for Newton County.
And could we also adopt the amended ordinance as well? It's all part of it.
So moved as stated by the Planning and Zoning Director.
We got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We got a second. Any further discussion? District 4?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've lived in Newton County my whole life, and as a young adult, I purchased my home, my starter home that I still live in to this day. And I just think that the ones who are struggling, the young people, to purchase a starter home in the unincorporated and in the city shouldn't have to pay the extra tax. I never remember a while back when we adopted the 1700 something for impact fee money, and over the years I just haven't seen where it went, and I kind of look And I'm not as hands-on as Commissioner Sanders or the other commissioners, but I haven't seen where it went, whereas there was a great need in the community and we addressed it. I can remember one time we spent maybe $500,000 or $1 million in rec to do some projects. But that's about all that I've seen that's been done. And I just, when it comes down to taxes, I just get cold feet. Because I'm a firm believer, I'm closing, Mr. Chairman, firm believer that we're just being taxed to death. You know, we get taxed everywhere we go. We get taxed when we go to the grocery store. We get the tax once a year. We just tax on everywhere we go. I bet you out of $100, we probably get taxed at least $25 or $30. So just kind of how I feel about taxes. Thank you.
District 3.
Can you just reiterate to the residents or those who are developers and whoever listening, once this is adopted, when does it start? And how does it work if you already have applications in process, but they have not gone through the next step?
Yes. Staff is asking for it to be effective November 1st to give us time to get caught up on the back end with any software that we would have to use for it. Any permits that are already in the system or in the pipeline, they won't be affected by this one. Anyone who applies on November 1st will.
So if it was adopted in October, those applicants that were actually in the system now would be affected, am I correct?
It would just be the new permits from whatever day we adopt it. So if let's say we were to adopt it tonight, then anybody who submitted tomorrow, they will be affected by the new fees.
And just a reminder, I don't remember offhand, how many applicants do we have pending right now or waiting to move to the next level?
For building permits?
Yes.
I do not have that number with me.
Okay.
Any further questions? Got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor? Oh, one more discussion. I'm sorry.
My apologies. So do I need to amend that motion to include the date of November 1st?
Yes.
Yes, please, yes.
As stated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So we had a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 4-1. Next item, item 10B.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So this is going to be consideration for adoption of the resolution R09-1724 for the capital improvement element updated report. And we'll actually have Mr. Ross just take us through that briefly.
Excuse me, I'm Bill Ross with Ross Associates. The capital improvement element, the CIE, is the report that is summarizes the methodology report, which goes into all the fees, except the CIE does not have the fees in it. Capital improvement element is actually a part of your comprehensive plan. Every comprehensive plan requires a CIE. So the CIE report that is available, approved by DCA now and ready to adopt it, it's an amendment to your comprehensive plan. It doesn't have to physically be in there. We don't have to go back and change the whole comprehensive plan just to show the extra, the impact fee projects that are now included in there. But as a standalone document, it is an amendment to your comprehensive plan. I don't think so. Y'all want to see all this again? This is the whole impact fee process. Number one, we did that methodology report. It had forecasts of future growth. It identified projects based on what you've already got. How many more of what you got are you going to need to serve the future growth in the county for the next 25, 30 years? And it calculates the maximum impact fee that you can adopt. The reason we do that is because the law says you can't charge too much. The methodology report tells you what's too much. You can charge less, just as we were discussing earlier with regard to the ordinance. The CIE is those boxes up there on the upper right. That is drawn from the methodology report. As I said, it leaves out the actual future projects. It does have a 5-year community work program in it because your comprehensive plan has a 5-year work program. So those included or injected, if you will, the possible impact fee type programs. That went to DCA. That's a 60-day review process. They had some comments. We addressed those comments, and DCA, the State Department of Community Affairs, has approved the CIE for adoption. And when you do adopt it, you don't have to wait for the impact fee ordinance to be adopted. You can adopt the CIE at any time, and that adopted copy will then go back to DCA for the record. And that's where we are. You have indicated a fee schedule for the ordinance. That'll be coming forward, included in the ordinance for November 1st adoption. And one other thing that I would mention is you've got an impact fee program right now. You've been collecting money for quite some time and spending it on projects that were approved under that earlier ordinance. So we're amending the ordinance, and it's very, very important that I underline that word amending, because there are some folks who are saying certain things have to happen when you adopt the development impact fee ordinance, and we're not adopting the ordinance, we're amending the ordinance. I want that to be very clear, because there are some things that come along with some requirements that are required when you first adopt impact fees, but you're past that. You already have impact fees. Any questions I can answer on the whole process that you've been through?
Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
At this time, we want to open up the public hearing portion. If anybody want to speak in favor, you have 10 minutes. Anybody? Last call. That concludes that portion. Anybody want to speak in opposition? That closes that portion of the meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve item 10B?
Mr. Chairman, this time I'd like to make a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution R091724.
Got a motion? Do we have a second? Got a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item number 11, streetlights.
Thank you, Chairman. So the last item brought us to the conclusion of our public hearing section. We just have 2 streetlight petitions for consideration before the board. The first one is for Low Johnville Estates, and the resolution numbers are 091724A. It's a resolution of the Newton County Board of Commissioners to create a street lighting district for Low Johnville Estates. And this is the plat. It's a fairly small subdivision, and they're just requesting to have their street lights installed.
Any questions from the board? What district is 3? Need a motion?
I move to approve the resolution for the streetlights in District Kingsfisher Walk, Riverwalk Farm subdivision.
Chairman,
No.
this is Low Johnville, I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, John.
I'm in the wrong
That's the
subdivision.
second one, yeah.
Sorry. I move to approve the resolution of the Newton County Board of Commissioners to create a street light district for Low Johnville Estates.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 12, Kingfisher Walk.
Thank you, Chairman. And the second is a streetlight petition for Riverwalk Farm Estates. It is Phase 5A, which is basically the Kingfisher Walk. And this is resolutions R091724B. And it's the resolution of the Newton County Board of Commissioners to create a street lighting district for Riverwalk Farm Phase 5A. And this is the Kingfisher Walk area that they're going to be installing. This is a subdivision that they're getting ready to finish off, and they're just getting the street lights as they build out the phases.
Any questions from commissioners? This is in District 5. Do we have a motion? Have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Chairman.
We'll move. We missed item number 9, Covington Newton County 911 Center Design Bill. Good evening.
Good evening. I come to y'all tonight to ask permission to move forward with the new 911 center design build. We went out for RFQ. We had 12 firms reply. We interviewed the top 4 of those, and our recommendation to build a 911 center will be Sunbelt, which is local here in Newton County. So I'm asking for y'all's approval to move forward with Sunbelt to design the 911 center.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Do I hear a motion? Do we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on to item number 12A. This is consideration. Over the last week or so, the city has reached out to me a couple times about the lighting of the courthouse for Christmas. At some point, I don't know when, but it was messaged to the city that the county was willing to do $5,000 to partner to do the fireworks at the lighting of the square. I told the city that at that time I could not find it as a budget item, but we do have money in the events portion of our budget to cover it. So I told the city I would bring it to the board, answer any questions if I can, and it's up to our board to vote it up or vote it down. Any questions? District 5?
My view is just Christmas time is not the time to have fireworks.
Understood.
Just my thought.
Any other questions? District 3?
I guess it would be a question, kind of like a discussion that I mentioned earlier in regards to the fireworks. How do they put out the bid to select the person who actually is doing the fireworks? As I stated earlier, We have individuals that live here in Newton County that own firework companies, and they have come to some of us commissioners trying to figure out how they can be a part of the bids to submit to do the fireworks for the county. So that's my only concern in regards to anything with the fireworks.
Thank you. And I'm not sure how that process works, but you know, I would suggest at some point the county and the city get together. You know, as you come to these events on the square that the city puts on, you know, the city is only probably 20% of our population, if that. And most of the people live in unincorporated Newton County or either outside of the county. So my opinion is at some point, I think the county needs to work with the city and come up with a true events budget that we can all live by, and also make us part of those decision makings when you're picking those vendors, and also part of the celebration. District 4.
My question did we have fireworks last year? I mean, I don't know. I stayed at home.
So yes, if you go back, I guess right before I left as District 2 Commissioner, I believe that was the first year, my last year in office. And I think, if you guys maybe can correct me, maybe they had some left over. I don't know how we got to doing fireworks at Christmas time, but they continue to do it, you know, for the last 5 years.
Okay. Well, you know, the way I think it's this: is we spend more money on anything and everything, and $5,000 is little in the money. And I think we should try to work together with the cities, the municipalities, and the county. And the one that we had always worked with, or used to work with, it has been the city of Covington. And I think if we contributed last year, that we should contribute this year. With Commissioner Sanders, what she had said was that we need to come up with some kind of plan to be put in place, so we can work more together, and also as the chairman, as you have suggested to us, too, as well. So I would like to make a motion, if I could this term, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the $5,000 to assist with the fireworks at Christmas.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Item number 13, citizen comments. You will have 3 minutes to address the chairman with any comments.
Street, Covington. I very much agree with Commissioner Cowan. When did fireworks become a part of Christmas on the Square? Well, several years ago, yes. They became part of Christmas on the Square. I don't understand why fireworks have anything to do with Christmas. At the same time, continuing at the city is discussion of whether to continue fireworks July 4th on the Square, because the police chief has made it known that they can't secure the square. So that continues to be a concern, and I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I agree with the concern that is being voiced about whether the police department can continue to secure the square safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Dave Norton of Newborn, 4357 Highway 142. Today's official Newton County government Facebook page had a post concerning the UDO public meeting updates. The third paragraph ended this way, and I quote, "Guidelines into a single document to bring the comprehensive plan to life." Let me re-inform everyone of some things in this plan. Total of 88 citizens were there. And if you look in the appendix of the comprehensive plan, it shows the sign-ins of who signed in for each of the public meetings. Total of 88. A whole lot of those were county employees. It mentions 14 stakeholders. Let me read you their names. Sarah Hall, Leanne Long, Landis Stevens, Debbie Harper, Laura Gaffney, Ed Hutter, Jay Williams, Tommy Craig, Scott Daniel, Nancy Adams Tide, Todd Bailey, William Stanton, Ann Jacoby, and Mike Hopkins. Well, some of those people have stood here and spoke to bring in high density into our county, high density housing. In my opinion, the stakeholders are those of us sitting behind me, those of you sitting here, is the citizens. Those are the real stakeholders, and our children and our grandchildren in the future of this county. Those are the stakeholders. Somewhere in there it mentioned that the county was like 4-point-something% higher accident rate than the state average. This comprehensive plan, this high-density housing, will increase that traffic. In that comprehensive plan, it states that the Newton County schools had a rating of a D. I think it was 68-point-something%, 69%, a rating of D. The high-density comprehensive plans will overcrowd the schools even more. Nowhere in this comprehensive plan does it say Newton County is full. Nowhere in this comprehensive plan does it say growth follows sewer. Maybe we need to revisit the comprehensive plan instead of the UDO. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Marie Million, 65 Sammy Court, that's Neely Manor. Okay, so I have 3 things. One, I'd like to address the youth center in District 3. When is that going to be put on the agenda for us to speak about it? Because we need park and recreation in District 3. Number 2, sidewalks. So as you all know, within the area of District 3, there are 4 schools that are very close by to one another. There's Live Oak, Fairview, Clements, and Newton High School. I see students walking on the road for Jack Neely all the time. That's very dangerous. So I think we definitely need sidewalks, and since we just built that roundabout, there's some sidewalks that go all the way to that bus depot, but it would be great even if we could have it on one side of the road so the students that are walking through the grass could stop doing that, because, you know, it's frightening. Nobody wants their child to get hit. You know, you're thinking you're sending your child to school and then you find out that they've been hit by a vehicle. And lastly, when we're talking about the impact fees, a good question was brought up about how we're using them. Are we going to be getting some type of reporting on how we're using it, where, when? So those are just those 3 issues that I wanted to bring up. District 3's youth center, sidewalks, and the impact fee report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Maya Allen, District 3. Generally, when I come up here, I too am talking about the park and the youth side facility. But I think we have a bigger issue and conversations that are being had outside of this room. And I'd like to have the conversation in the room. I'm not sure if I'm directing this at the board or at the county attorney, but we know in 90 days, we have 2 persons that won't be here to fulfill the role that they were elected for. And so there's no conversation with the residents. Mr. Sims, you're doing a great job. I like your leadership, and I think everyone would agree that we like the decorum that the board has since you've been here. As a District 3 resident, I think it's more important that we talk about that seat because it's actually a seat with a vote. And I've seen online where persons were thanking the governor for your appointment. And I'm not sure who those persons are, but I think the room needs to include a few more people. In the primary, Commissioner Sanders got 46% of the votes. So I think it's fair to say that she should be resat in her seat, or at the very least, there should be a special election. And so that's what we're asking for, to be in the room when the discussions are had, who will sit in that seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hayden Singleton, 80 Kirkland Court, District 3. I agree with what the last person said about the special election for Commissioner Sanders. I agree with that. I also wanted to echo the same concerns about the sidewalks in the area. The roundabout, I think, is doing a great job, but we definitely need sidewalks for the citizens as well as was said, for the students. I also want to echo that I think that fireworks for Christmas is a wild idea. I've never seen it before. I mean, I could see it have happened once. Amazing, but that shouldn't be the standard. And last but not least, definitely monitoring the amount of traffic. If you're going to have more houses and facilities in the area, whether that was a board conversation that needs to be had again or something like that, I think we need to address that and have surveys for it. And there's some boards that are listed on the county website that they don't actually have a date or a time or anything like that. It's like to be announced or as needed. And so I think that those should be clarified for us to be able to attend, because the public can attend those meetings as well. So we want a time and a date, same way that we have the time and the date for these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Misty Glore. I live at 160 Stewart Hollow Lane. I still have not gone anywhere. I still will not leave. There is still a cover-up at the Newton County Sheriff's Department, and I have all the paperwork. I will not quit. I will not go away until this is fixed. And if you don't know about it, you need to go find out about it. What you don't know about me is I used to run with Jason Mohan. That's who my oldest biological son is. He sold meth to this county. In 1996, I watched a drug deal go down between him and Newton County Sheriff's Department sitting on the roof of East Newton Elementary School. What else you want to know about the corrupt people in this town? What else you want to know about the drug houses in this town? What else you want to know about the drug pass in this town? I'll give it all to you. I've done the research. I know who lives in these houses. I know who owns the deeds to the people who lives in these houses, who came after me and my kids. And they came after me because of what I know about this county and the corrupt people in this county. I will not stop. My 911 reports and my fire reports from my kids getting hit are altered. My police reports and the video footage that are attached to them that are being sent to me in open records requests are not correct. They're all wrong. And I have proven every single bit of it. You have human trafficking in this county going through your DFAC's office. Yes, you do. You have illegal juvenile homes in Riverbend. That's why nobody in Riverbend would step up If you go back and look at those minutes and nobody would say why, that's why. Those names have to be reported to the sheriff's department only. I know who took the drugs into Alcobie when those kids were having seizures and being taken out by ambulance. I reported those. I am not going to stop. I know who has the drugs. I know where the drug money is going. And if you know, you better say something, because I probably have already put your name out there for everybody to see. And yes, I put mine out there too.
Thank you. Anybody else? That portion of, oh, we got one more.
Good evening. Frederick Johnson, 1036 Highway 162 in Covington. Most of you know in the past, out of the 10, 12 years, I've been overseeing the cemetery cleanup, okay? Okay, I know it's a little bit early for it now, but we normally do this on King's birthday. I got a call today from a young lady with Clean and Beautiful, Laura Riser. I think she said she had talked to Mr. Cooper, and she wanted to furnish volunteers to help do whatever need to be done, cemetery and so forth. But she was also asking about what could we do for Veterans Day. You know, Veterans Day coming up, November 11th. And we, the American Legion, we will congregate on the square. And we don't know exactly what we're going to do afterwards, so maybe we could do some flags on the cemeteries. I got a lot of my lodge brothers have been doing it in the past, and I don't know where any of these veterans are, you know, buried and so forth. So I think if I could get the volunteers from Laura and also Laura Burcham, you know, furnished for volunteers, and the help of the community, maybe we could do, I don't know how many cemeteries we could get flags out, you know, put on the graves and so forth. But by them partnering with us, in January we're going to do cemeteries, so maybe we can do more than 1 or 2 or 3 cemeteries. But what I'll need to have, I'll have to have some adults to help supervise these kids, because most of these kids, they want to just get out there and run and play and move a headstone, pick up a rock or so forth. But these graves are marked by you know certain things. So I just need, I'm going to need some help. Let's put it that way. I'm going to need some help. So be thinking about it, and I'll bring it back to you later on. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? That portion of our meeting is closed. Let me move on to commissioner comments. Before we get started, Brian, can you put up the meetings for the UDO? Shana, would you like to say a little something about these upcoming meetings?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So we are holding a total of 5 meetings. Well, not a total of. We're holding 1 meeting in each district. And then there'll be other public hearing meetings and so on in addition to that. This would give residents at least 5 opportunities to attend these meetings so we can get feedback and input from them. You don't have to go to just the one in your district. You can go to all of them if you so wish. Just an important note from when it was originally sent out yesterday, we have changed the dates for District 3. It is now going to be on October 2nd instead of September 18th. So that's the only major change we have in terms of the dates. So District 1 is going to be October 3rd at East Ridge. District 2 is going to be September 30th at Zion Baptist. And we have District 3, the West Side Precinct, October 2nd. District 4, Spring Hill Park, September 25th. And District 5 would be at the Newton County Water Resources off of Alcovey Road. And that will be on September 23rd, a Monday. And again, residents can attend any one of these. They can attend all or just one. It's up to them. We wanted to go into the districts where residents are living, you know, to have that connection with them and to hear from them. And if anyone has any questions, they're free to contact myself or my office, and we can provide them with any additional information.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Applewhite? District 4?
Thank you. Ms. Applewhite, how are you getting the message out to the citizens?
We are using our social media platforms. We've had some of these up here printed today that were distributed to citizens who were here. I know some of the commissioners have been gracious enough to put it out on their pages as well. You know, that helps a lot. And of course, it's on our website as well.
Are we reaching out to the local newspapers as well? Or is there a plan
I guess
to?
we can send it there. Yeah. Oh, he did. Okay.
Yep. Good.
Brian's got that covered.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to our commissioner comments. Start from my right, District 1. You got anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I have is coming up is the District 1 Community Cleanup Day. We plan to meet at that date is October 12th. We plan to meet October 12th at 9 a.m. at Alcovey High School, which is in the southern part of the county. But my focus was in the southern part of the county on the last cleanup we had, the southern part of my district. Now the focus this year will be on the coming on around the south to the western part of District 1. I get a lot of calls from not a lot of calls, but I get calls from the Highway 81, 212 type area, and on up even toward District 2, I get some calls. So we'll try to focus on that area. But I'll put this on Facebook. It's October 12th, 9 o'clock. We're going to assemble at Alcovey High School, but we'll actually be moving to the western part of my district. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
District 2? No comment. District 3?
I'm excited about September 28th, which is our 4th annual Ladies Retreat. The registration has been closed because we have reached capacity. We actually have ladies that are on the waiting list. So I'm excited about that, to have that happen this year. And this year it's going to be in the day from 11 to 4. Normally we'll have a ladies prom, but this year we're doing a day activity event. So I'm excited about that. I kind of missed raising my hand during the county manager's comments. And just a few things when I was in Fairview Community Park, the swing gate that they have at the front that's supposed to be locked, I guess, at dusk, the children are using it as a toy. They're swinging on it. So I guess we need to make sure it's locked at dusk because it's there. I mean, they're kids. I mean, they found a new toy to swing on. So they're swinging on the gate, and it could be a liability for us. So we can make sure that gate is closed when it goes down to dusk. So that'll be good. I think that's all that I had. Oh, Veterans Day. I heard it mention Veterans Day. I know with NACO, they adopted lighting up the government buildings green. And I submitted that probably like are we doing that this year? Okay. I just want to make sure we were doing that. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I do have one thing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The parking for the commissioners, and I know you were not here, Mr. County Manager. In 2022, the commissioners voted to move their parking spaces if we were able to get additional parking spaces somewhere else to allow the electric car facilities to be there. And that's been since 2022. And the only reason why I'm mentioning that because we share spaces with the restaurants and everybody. So sometimes when we get here, there's no parking spaces. So we're riding around, and I will park in the electric parking spot. And now some of the residents are like, you don't have an electric car, but that used to be our parking spaces. So we never got them back. So that's been about 2 years. We never got our parking spaces back. Thank you.
Thank you. District 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I just want to add our support, District 4, and the few people that follow me in supporting Commissioner Sanders and hoping at the very least get that part on track in District 3. And let us just stop, you know, fussing about it. We're not fussing them, Mr. Chairman, and let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you. District 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to mention about Stan and I both serve on the Solid Waste Authority. And if you've noticed at all the convenience centers, a lot of the receptacles have been repainted. They got new lettering and everything on it. It's starting to look really good. And I think we've pretty much got them all done right now. And they're painting the small houses over there and doing some maintenance work on those. So I just think it's important that the county put forth this best look on everything that it owns. So if you get a chance and if you use those, just take notice that somebody's out there taking care of those bins and everything. Thank you.
Thank you. I got just a couple quick comments. Just from those citizen comments, if you can reach out to your district commissioner on some of those questions, if they can't answer them, please reach out to the chairman's office, and we'll try to get some answers for some of those questions. Mr. Johnson, we'll definitely be reaching out to try to get some volunteers for Veterans Day. That's it for my comments. Do we need no need for executive session? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Do we have a second? All in favor? We're adjourned. Have a good night.